travel tips video. So I thought I'd do a video that I've seen people talk about a little bit on Facebook and other social networks in regards to what documents to bring with you when you travel, especially traveling full-time. Because I know many people who have boxes and boxes of paperwork, whether it's their degrees, papers from school, all of these different things that they think that they have to save and one day they might need. And I definitely used to be that person. I'm still that person when it comes to receipts, actually. I'll just gather them all up because I don't want to have to go through them and decide which ones to keep, which ones not to keep. However, when it comes to important documents, I couldn't do that anymore because we were traveling so minimally. So I had to go through every single document. I had to scan every single document that I thought was important enough to keep. And that was an intense process that I did before we left in January for China. And so I scanned a lot of documents, then I went over the scanned documents and decided which ones I should keep, which ones I should delete, and finally came to a good process, I think, that I have. Of course, I think that my important documents folder, compared to a lot of other travelers, is a bit more extensive, but I think that's also because we have all of the documentation authenticated for China, and then also I have a lot of degrees. I have 3 master's degrees, so I have all of that paperwork, which is why my important documents folder is so big, because I have my master's degrees in here and they are the larger pieces of paper. I don't know the dimensions, but I actually went to FedEx and had them cut my actual master's degrees so that they would fit in this folder. I had a folder that was a little bit bigger than this before, but because I use them not how they're supposed to be used, I have it in my backpack every day, which gets a lot of wear and tear. I had to get a new one before we left for Mexico. So granted, that might invalidate my master's degrees a little bit, but if somebody needs them to see them short notice, I have them. I also have them on a USB that's in my backpack, as well as a USB that's in my bra pouch. So if I need any of those documents, I have them available. So let's open it and go through exactly what is in here. If I could get everything out. I have managed to fit quite a lot of things in here. And sometimes, I don't really like to do this very often, but sometimes I just throw things in here that I know are important and I don't really categorize them in the different folders I have in here. But I usually go through all of this information about, I don't know, probably once a month, once every couple months, and I decide what's important, what should be in what folder, and things like that to make sure that everything stays very organized. So that's everything in there. So we can start with my master's degrees. So I have 3 master's degrees and they're all laminated, which also invalidates them. And then I had the edges rounded so that it wouldn't mess up the folder. And I had them cut so that they would fit in there just perfectly. So I have those. Then I have a checkbook, and also inside the checkbook holder is our passport photos. So we have probably at least 20 passport photos each, because when we first went to China, I watched so many videos that said you need at least 20 passport photos per person, and I was like, oh, they're exaggerating. So I brought like 8 or 10 for each of us, and I ran out very quickly. So when I went back to the United States, I made sure that I got a lot of copies of our passport photos. I also have extra IDs back here, and then SIM cards, my extra SIM cards from different countries. So that's in there, and then extra money that I get from different countries I keep in this folder as well. And then I have 2 extra checkbook holders, because I like to use these to separate my cash sometimes. So when I was in China, I used one constantly to separate my American cash from my Chinese renminbi. This is just different copies of IDs, like my residency permit from China, and then of course Safari's shot record. Oh no, this is my shot record. And then this is a passport holder, a clear passport holder. I make sure that we always have our passports in those just so that they don't get messed up. I got these Ziploc bags actually at the dollar store before we left the United States, and they fit cash perfectly. So if I need any Ziploc bags to carry cash or to hold cash in this envelope, in this folder, I like to do that. Here is Safari's old passport because she got her passport when she was 2 years old, so this expires. I don't think it expires yet actually, but I got it within a year, so it'll expire soon. And then I also got extra passport photos at a passport photo booth in China, so we're always prepared with multiple options on that. Here is just other random things, pictures of me and my mom in Safari, and just other important items. This is my certificate for my TEFL at International TEFL Academy. So I keep that, of course, in there. Different training certificates from the military. Yeah, so I have these two are from the military. And then my substitute teacher license from New Mexico, my bachelor's degree, the official degree, my TESOL certificate, which is a 120-hour TESOL certificate, my Community College of the Air Force associate's degree, another military distinguished grad. So this one has all of my high school diploma and my original birth certificate, as well as certified copies of both of our birth certificates. And then I also keep, so these are just binder sleeves that I cut the holes on the side off of. So I separate everything in these different sleeves. And this is my official transcripts for my bachelor's and my 3 master's degrees. This is different information from China. It has our lease contract, our information for our bank account in China, all of the China information that we have. These are my different criminal record reports that you have to get in order to work in China. So I got a federal one and a state one, and those are in here, and those are one of the documentation you have to get authenticated through the embassy when you work in China. And then here is immunization records for Safari. So here's her shot records and then a printout of all of her shots, which is of course very important. Oh, I have 3 of these, the checkbook holders. And then, yeah, so the immunization is very important depending on which country you go to. So right now we're in Mexico. There's no requirements for any immunizations here. However, in Africa, there are some requirements, especially malaria, but I haven't looked into it extensively. I do know I will get the medications here in Mexico because they're so much cheaper. However, I haven't looked into the specific requirements, but there are some in certain locations. These are just copies of different things that we need copies of. So our social security cards, our California ID cards, copies of our birth certificates, copies of our passports, different things like that, which come in handy extremely, because when I enrolled Safari in school here in Mexico, they said, okay, I need a copy of your passport. Okay, I need a copy of her birth certificate. and I was able to be like, here you go, here you go. They said, oh, I need a picture of her for her application. Here you go, here's a passport photo. So it's very convenient when you have all of this stuff in one folder in your backpack constantly with you. So no matter what you're doing, what you're applying for, where you're going, different things like that, that you're always prepared and there's no issue. That is what I love about always keeping this with me. So here is a recommendation letter from a teacher that I worked with as a substitute. My international driver's license. So this is good for a year. So I got this January 2019. So I'll probably have to get another one when I go back to Miami in July, June or July. I'll have to get another one of those just to make sure I keep that up to date. So here's an example of things that I just kind of like throw in here on occasion. This is a receipt for Safari School. I get a receipt I pay every month, and I don't even know if I will need to keep this. This is probably something that I will scan and then just throw away. So different things like that, you have to determine if it's important enough for you to keep in your folder or if it's something that you could just, if need be, print out from a PDF version of it. This is our authenticated documents from the embassy. So in a previous video, I think my last video, I talked about in China you have to get a 3-step process for each of your important documents, which includes notarizing, apostilled by the state, and then authenticating through the embassy. So this is the process for all the documents that we got done. So I will show you an example. I think the first one on here is Safari's birth certificate. So here is her certified copy of her birth certificate. And then as you can see, oh yeah, for the birth certificate, you don't need to get it notarized, but you do need to get it apostilled, which is this front page. And then you do need to get it authenticated by the embassy, which is this stamp right here. So you have to get that done for all of the different documents, and that's why this is the biggest folder out of everything in our backpack, because most of them have at least 3 pieces of paper attached, and I think I have a total of 8 to 10 documents in here, so that makes my folder very bulky. So here's another just empty sleeve. So this is information that I have for Safari in regards to when she grows up and starts asking more questions about her other half. I have that information in here, and I could help her to answer questions or find that person if she wants. That's a whole other topic, but I have that here for her when she is ready. And then here, one of the companies that I work for, these are just printouts of the backdrop if I ever don't have my backdrop with me for whatever reason. However, I just bought a backdrop for this company from somebody who makes them out of tapestries, and it's absolutely amazing. So I don't think that I will need these anymore. I could probably take them out actually. So I'll go ahead and do that. Yes, so that is everything in the important documents folder. It fits very easily, as you saw in the beginning, in this folder. You could buy these folders, I'll link them down below, for, I would say, no more than $15 on Amazon. It's fireproof, and I believe it's also waterproof. I'm not sure. The one that I had before this was waterproof as well. And I always keep it with me. And a lot of people have, it's very controversial whether people keep their important documents on them, especially this conversation comes up in regards to passports, and I've mentioned that a little bit before. Some people have to have their passport on them constantly. Some people believe that they should always leave it in their apartment, hotel, wherever they're staying. And my personal opinion is, I've mentioned this before, I believe if something is not on my person, it is not mine. It is easily taken away. Somebody could come in here. The people that own the Airbnb could come in at any time with their own key, and they can do whatever they want, you know, ultimately. And you're in a different country, so it's going to be hard to get your things back or prove that anything was disturbed, you know. So if it's not on my person, if it's not in my backpack, then I'm leaving it vulnerable to somebody taking it. So that's why I always have my important documents on me. I always have my passport, our global entry cards, our ID cards, all of those very essential things I have on me. And I have a couple ideas in regards to how I'm going to better the process of making sure that everything on me is always protected. So I do have my bra pouch, which I've mentioned before. It has many copies of our passports laminated, a credit card in mine, and cash in a small Ziploc baggie in mine. And then Safari has her 2 copies of both of our passports, and then an emergency card with my information and my mom's information on it, and we wear those on our sports bras. So we also I just got copies of my, I just got done taking a shower, I left them in the bathroom, but I just got replacement dog tags because I haven't had my dog tags from the military for a while now. I lost them. And then Safari, she got a bracelet that has her name on the front, and then on the back it has her blood type and my mom's phone number. So I'm trying to revamp and re-up everything that we do to make sure that we are prepared in the event of an emergency. I want to put a little bit more cash, which US dollars are a little bit harder to come by here in Mexico, but I want to put more cash into the Ziploc baggie in my bra pouch so that I can make sure that no matter where we are, no matter what happens to us, we can get back to the United States. I want to put eventually $1,100 in there at minimum because it's costing us $1,100 to get from Miami to South Africa. So that's one of the most expensive trips we have ever taken. So I will know that if we get stranded, that I will have the cash to buy us plane tickets back to the United States. So that's kind of the way that my brain processes and thinks through things to make sure that I'm able to take care of my child. I've seen many things on Facebook where people talk about, oh, I'm stranded here, my credit card stopped working, I don't have any of my information, somebody stole my passport, all of these different horrible things that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. But if those things arise, we have copies of our passports to go to the embassy. We have money to get plane tickets back home or to get a hotel or whatever we need. We have money to get clothes if our backpack gets stolen. All of those different things that people worry about if they get robbed, we will not have to worry about those things because I'm pretty sure that somebody is not going to strip us naked when they rob us. They're going to take our backpack, maybe my purse, things like that, you know? Well, I don't have a purse, but backpack, you know what I mean. So that's the way that I think about things, and I think especially as a single mom, that's how you need to think about things when you're traveling the world with your child, because you never want to be in a position where you are literally out on the street and you have to use, or you don't have your phone, or best case scenario, you have your phone and you're on Facebook, oh, I need help, in different groups like Host a Sister or whatever, but you never want to depend on things like that. Always make sure you're able to provide for your child. So that's my view on the important documents and why it is so important to always keep these things with you. And as I mentioned, I have a USB with all of this documentation in my bra pouch as well and in my backpack. So those are 3 different places that I have them. The USB is in our big backpack, and then this important documents folder is in my day backpack. And then I always have a USB on me in my bra pouch. So that is the way I think about things. Please let me know how you guys do important documents in the comments. If you have a smaller folder for them, if you only do USB versions of them when you travel, let me know how you do it, because I would love to get more tips and advice on how to better my process. So it was great talking to you guys about this, and I can't wait to hear from you. Talk to you soon. Bye.
Make sure to like this